drastically. That also sounds ominous. Kennedy says, do you think Test cricket suits better for building narratives than shorter form cricket? And do you think this should be the measurement for players, journalists, administrators working within cricket to build a more engaging experience for both new and long fans? Okay, so the best part of this, Kennedy, is very, very simply that if you have Test cricket and it goes for 5 days, the narrative is woven into it that you have 7 hours of play, 7.5 hours of play these days, with your breaks. So that's the full day. Then you have the conversations afterwards. Then you have, the late night TV shows, you have, early morning breakfast shows, you have the newspapers, you have the websites, you have the podcast now, the video channels, all this sort of stuff. Then you sweep into day 2 coverage, right? That narrative is very natural. A 3-hour sport doesn't play that kind of narrative. And it's probably one of the reasons that cricket writing develops a lot better than other sports writing. T20 cricket's very hard for 2 reasons. One is it just doesn't have any of that. And most of the people who have been trained to write about cricket learnt to write on Test cricket. A little bit of one-day cricket, but not, certainly one-day cricket was never written on in the same level that Test cricket was. The other problem is that it's really hard to write anything about a game of T20 cricket that people read. We experimented with stuff at Cricinfo, and if the game pops, then almost anything you put up works. But very few T20 games really pop because there's so many close games. If there's a controversy, you can write about the controversy. But a normal T20 game, just people don't read it. You might get more people watching it, but you don't get as many people reading it. What we worked on at Cricinfo when I was there, and I don't know what they do now, was themes. So you've either got a theme coming into a game. So I might be doing a piece on Boovie for them, and we'll probably try and schedule that as on the day of a Sunrisers game. And then if he does something in that game, that piece will then be pushed again that night. And the other thing I try and do is a theme happens in T20. So Ashwin retiring out is a good one. I did Wides at the Death the other day. Those seem to work better. There's a narrative over a full season though, which I think is actually almost as strong as a Test match or as a Test series. I don't think people have quite worked that out yet though. But I certainly do believe that there's really good narratives over a season. And it's also, if you have a look at my work, Kennedy, it's why I kind of do it over a longer period even.